Minjun had learned how to be untouchable. At 35, the young Korean CEO of Jade global wore success like armor, tailored suits, cold boardrooms, and a name that made markets listen. But some nights, when the city of Seoul dimmed and silence crept in, one name still broke through him: Zara. 6 years ago, he had signed the divorce papers with hands that didn't shake, but a heart that shattered quietly. Back then, he'd been too proud, too busy building an empire, too blind to see how lonely his African wife had become beside him. He had let her walk away, and he had never forgiven himself. The shock came during a global leadership summit in Singapore. Minjun scanned the program lazily until his breath caught. Keynote speaker: Zara Okoye, CEO and chairwoman, ZK Industries, Fortune 70. His chest tightened. The room seemed to tilt. ZK Industries? One of the most powerful firms in the world. Innovative, ruthless, brilliant, and Zara was the boss. The woman he once underestimated. The wife he once lost. When she walked onto the stage, the world went quiet. Zara was no longer the gentle woman who waited for him late at night with warm meals and unasked patience. She was confidence incarnate. Dark skin glowing, posture regal, eyes sharp with earned authority. She spoke, and men twice her age took notes. Minjun couldn't breathe. I did this, he realized. I broke her, and she rebuilt herself into this. When their eyes met across the hall, Zara didn't flinch. No anger, no warmth. Just a calm distance that hurt more than hate ever could. He found her that evening on the terrace overlooking the city lights. Zara, he said softly. She turned, composed. CEO Minjun. Congratulations on your expansion in Europe. So formal, so distant. I didn't know, he whispered, about all of this. She smiled faintly. You didn't know many things back then. The words weren't sharp. They were honest. I was wrong, he said, stepping closer, his voice breaking despite himself. I chose ambition over us. I made you feel small when you were always extraordinary. Zara looked away, the city reflecting in her eyes. I loved you, she said quietly. I begged you to see me, but love alone couldn't survive your silence. Minjun swallowed hard. I don't deserve another chance, he said, but I'm asking anyway, not as your ex-husband, not as a CEO, just as the man who never stopped loving you. For the first time, her composure cracked. Their reconnection was slow. Coffee meetings that turned into long walks. Business conversations that softened into shared laughter. Old wounds reopened, but this time, treated with care. Minjun listened now. Truly listened. When Zara spoke of her struggles, her nights alone, her rise built from pain, he didn't interrupt. He didn't defend himself. He just held her hands and said, I'm here, and meant it. One rainy evening in Seoul, standing outside the apartment they once shared, Minjun finally knelt. Not with a ring, but with honesty. I loved you wrong before, he said. If you let me love you again, I'll do it gently, patiently, like you always deserved. Tears slid down Zara's cheeks. I'm not the woman I was, she whispered. I know, he said, smiling through his own tears. You're stronger, and I want to walk beside you this time, not ahead of you. She pulled him into her arms, and the past finally loosened its grip. They didn't rush marriage. They rebuilt trust first. But when Minjun finally slipped a ring onto Zara's finger beneath the stars of Jeju Island, it wasn't a second chance. It was a new beginning. Two powerful hearts point two healed souls. One love that survived time, pride, and loss. Because real love doesn't end. A quiet cliffside villa on Jeju Island, where the sea whispered endlessly and the wind carried forgiveness. There were no guests, no executives, no family expectations, no applause. Just Minjun, Zara, the sky, and the truth of what they had survived. Zara stood barefoot on white stone, her dress simple and flowing, the kind that moved with the breeze like it belonged to nature itself. Her hair fell freely over her shoulders, untouched by crowns or veils. Minjun couldn't look away. 6 years ago, he had lost her because he was blind. Now he was seeing her clearly for the first time. He approached her slowly, not like a man claiming something back, but like a man being allowed to return. "You're more beautiful than the day I first married you," he said softly. Zara smiled through tears. "Because I'm not afraid anymore." That broke him. There was no efficient reading formal vows. They spoke from memory, from pain, from love reborn. Minjun took her hands, steady, reverent. "I loved you once with pride," he said. "I love you now with humility. I promise to listen when you're quiet, to choose you even when the world is loud, and to never make you feel alone beside me again." His voice cracked. Zara cupped his face, her thumbs brushing the tears he didn't bother to hide. "I loved you even when you hurt me," she said. "But today, I chose you. Not because I need you, but because I want to walk with you. That I promise to love you as my equal, my safe place, and my forever." The ocean surged behind them as if bearing witness. Instead of rings first, Minjun did something unexpected. He pressed his forehead to hers. "I don't ask you to be my wife again," he whispered. "I ask you to be my partner." Zara nodded, breath trembling. Then he slid the ring onto her finger. A simple band engraved inside with words only they knew. "Still, always, us." She placed his ring on his hand just as gently. No kiss rushed the moment. They stood there, foreheads touching, breathing each other in, two souls finally aligned. When they kissed, it was slow, reverent, and full of promise. That night, they lit candles throughout the villa. They cooked together, laughed, danced barefoot to old music they once loved. Outside, the rain began to fall softly. Later, wrapped in white sheets, Minjun held Zara like something sacred. "I'm home," he murmured into her hair. Zara smiled, eyes closed, heart full. "So are we." And in that quiet space, away from the world, they remarried not just in name. Marriage with Zara didn't feel like possession to Minjun. Felt like permission. Permission to love her out loud. To show up. To be gentle where he was once rigid. They lived between Seoul and Lagos, in homes filled with light, books, and quiet laughter. No grand displays, just intention in every detail. Zara loved open windows and music in the mornings. Minjun learned to wake earlier just to make her tea the way she liked it, warm, spiced, comforting. Sometimes she'd find him watching her from across the room. "What?" she'd ask, amused. He'd smile softly. "I'm still surprised I got to love you." They worked hard, but never against each other. Boardrooms became places of partnership. When Zara spoke, Minjun listened with pride, not ego. When Minjun faced pressure, Zara steadied him with calm wisdom. At night, they decompressed together. She would sit on the balcony with her feet tucked under his thigh, laptop forgotten, city lights blinking below. "You're quieter these days," she once teased. "I used to fight the world," he said, pressing a kiss to her temple. "Now I just protect what matters." She rested her head on his chest, feeling the truth of it. Their intimacy was slow and deliberate. Minjun kissed Zara like he was still apologizing, and still grateful. He learned her rhythms, her silences, the way her hand squeezed his when she needed reassurance without words. Some nights were passionate. Others were simply being wrapped together, listening to rain, his thumb tracing lazy circles on her back while she murmured about her day. He never rushed her, never assumed. Every touch asked, "Is this okay?" Every kiss said, "I choose you." On weekends, they disappeared from the world. Farmers' markets, quiet drives, long baths where laughter echoed off tile walls. Zara would sit between Minjun's knees as he washed her hair, tender and unhurried. "No one would believe this is how you relax," she'd say. He'd smile. "Only you get this version of me." That was his devotion, private, fierce, and unwavering. Sometimes the past would surface. A look, a memory, a silence. Minjun never dismissed it. Instead, he'd take her hands and say, "Talk to me. I'm not going anywhere." And she would. Each time, love grew steadier. One evening, As they lay watching the ceiling glow with city light, Zara whispered, "Do you ever regret losing me?" Minjun turned to her, serious. "I regret hurting you," he said. "But losing you taught me how to deserve you." She smiled, tears warm. Marriage wasn't perfect, but it was intentional. It was soft mornings and honest nights. Equal power. Shared peace. A love that didn't need to prove itself. Only protect itself. And every night, as Minjun pulled Zara close and pressed a kiss to her shoulder, he thought the same thing. I will never make her feel alone again. No leaks, no rumors, no staged paparazzi shots. Just truth deliberately revealed. ZK Industries and JH Global announced a joint global initiative, a partnership so massive it sent markets into a frenzy. Journalists from every continent packed the glass-walled conference hall in Seoul. No one expected what came next. Minjun walked onto the stage first, calm, composed, CEO perfect. Then Zara followed. A ripple went through the room. They had been married once. Divorced. Separated by ambition and silence. And now, here they were, standing side by side. Before any questions could be asked, Minjun reached for Zara's hand. The gesture alone made headlines. "There's something we want to make clear before we speak about business," Minjun said, voice steady but warm. Zara squeezed his hand once, grounding him. "We were married once," Zara continued. "We separated, we grew, and we found our way back to each other, on our own terms." Minjun looked at her, eyes soft. "And we are married again." Gasps, flashing cameras, absolute silence. "But this time," he added, "as equals." Zara smiled, not triumphant, but peaceful. The press went wild. Commentators speculated. Critics doubted. Minjun didn't respond. Instead, he did something that ended the noise. At the next global summit, when introductions were made, he said simply, "This is my wife, Zara Minjun, CEO of ZK Industries, and the smartest leader I know. Not the former. Not ex-wife." Zara met the room with calm confidence, and placed her hand on his arm. The message was clear. They stood together. No one in front. No one is behind. Behind closed doors, their partnership was seamless. They challenged each other respectfully, defended each other fiercely. If anyone tried to diminish Zara, Minjun shut it down without hesitation. "She speaks for herself," he once said firmly, "and I stand with her." The admiration was mutual. When Minjun faced pressure over the public scrutiny, Zara reminded him gently, "We didn't come back together to be liked. We came back together to be real." At their first public gala as a reunited couple, they arrived late. Not out of arrogance, but because they had been laughing in the car, hands intertwined, stealing a moment just for themselves. When they entered, the room shifted. Power, yes, but also ease. Minjun rested a hand at the small of Zara's back. She leaned into him naturally. No performance. No explanation. Just love that had survived the worst and chosen the best. Later that night, on the balcony overlooking the city, Minjun murmured, "Are you okay with all of this attention?" Zara smiled softly. "As long as I face it with you." He kissed her hand, reverent. "I will always face the world with you." And the world finally understood. This wasn't a comeback story. It was a completion. 2 leaders. 2 healed hearts. 1 unbreakable union. Public, proud, and profoundly in love. No press releases. No assistance. Just a quiet bathroom, early sunlight, and a truth that made her hands tremble. When she told Minjun, she didn't use words. She simply placed the test in his palm. For a long moment the world stopped. Then his breath broke. "Zara," his voice barely held. "Is this?" She nodded, smiling through tears. Minjun sank to his knees, pressing his forehead against her stomach like a prayer. "I promise," he whispered, voice shaking. "I will never be too busy for our child. I will never miss what matters." Zara stroked his hair, heart overflowing. She believed him. Pregnancy softened him in ways no boardroom ever had. He attended every appointment. Phone off, attention absolute. He read parenting books late into the night, practiced tying tiny shoes on his own fingers, learned how to cook meals that made Zara feel comforted and strong. At night, he spoke to her belly in Korean and broken English. "Grow well," he'd murmur. "Your mother is extraordinary." Zara would watch him, love deepening every day. Their child was born just before dawn. A quiet delivery room, soft cries, a life placed carefully into Minjun's arms. He froze, so small da so warm da so his. Tears streamed freely as he cradled their baby, a daughter. Her skin a beautiful blend of them both. "She's perfect," he whispered, afraid to breathe too loudly. Zara, exhausted and glowing, smiled. "She looks like she trusts you already." Minjun pressed a kiss to their daughter's tiny forehead. "I won't break that trust." Fatherhood changed the rhythm of his life. Board meetings ended earlier. Business trips shortened. At home, Minjun learned the sacred art of rocking, humming, and pacing the room at 3 a.m. He mastered diapers with the same precision he once used for contracts. When their daughter cried, he didn't rush to fix her. He held her. "You're safe," he'd whisper. "I'm here." Zara watched him become the father he never had, and the man he had always been meant to be. Some evenings, Zara would find him sitting on the floor, their daughter asleep on his chest, papers forgotten nearby. "You're spoiling her," she teased. He smiled softly. "I'm teaching her what love feels like." On her first birthday, they kept the celebration small. As Minjun lifted their daughter into the air, laughter bubbling from her tiny chest, he felt something settle permanently in his soul. This was a success. Not the empire, not the power, but the small hand gripped his finger with absolute trust. Later that night, as Zara leaned into him, watching their daughter sleep, Minjun whispered, "Thank you for giving me this life." Zara kissed his cheek, eyes warm. "We built it together." And in that quiet room, surrounded by love, Minjun understood. He hadn't just regained a wife. Minjun and Zara never spoke of legacy in terms of money. They spoke of it in values. The home they built was filled with languages. Korean lullabies, African proverbs, soft laughter echoing through wide hallways. Their daughter grew up knowing that her skin was beautiful, her heritage powerful, and her voice worth hearing. Zara taught her confidence. Minjun taught her kindness. Together, they taught her balance. As leaders, they redefined power. They created scholarships for young African and Asian innovators. They funded programs for women rebuilding their lives after divorce, not as charity, but as respect. Zara insisted on boardrooms with diversity that wasn't symbolic but structural. Minjun stood beside her, unwavering. "This is my family's name," he said once. "It will stand for fairness." And it did. At home, they kept traditions sacred. Friday nights were family nights. No phones, no meetings, just food, stories, and laughter. Minjun always made it home in time to tuck his daughter in, whispering promises only she could hear. Zara watched him sometimes, heart full. "You're nothing like the man you were before," she said gently. Minjun smiled. "You taught me how to stay." As the years passed, their family grew. Another child, more love, deeper patience. Their home became a place people felt safe in. Young leaders sought their counsel. Children played freely under their watchful eyes. Yet their marriage remained the center. Every anniversary, Minjun wrote Zara a letter. Not grand declarations, but truths. "Thank you for choosing me again. Thank you for trusting me with your heart. Thank you for building a life where love comes first." Zara kept everyone. One evening, long into the future, they sat together watching their children play in the garden. "Our legacy isn't the company's," Zara said softly. Minjun nodded, intertwining his fingers with hers. "It's the way they love, the way they treat others, the way they never fear being seen." Their daughter ran toward them, laughter bright. In that moment, Minjun understood something profound. Love had been his greatest teacher. Loss had been his greatest lesson. And family, chosen, rebuilt, protected, was his greatest achievement. When history spoke of them, it would mention success, power, influence. But within their walls, the truth was simpler. They were two people who broke, healed, forgave, and chose each other again. And that choice, made every day, became the legacy that would outlive them all. Years softened their steps, silver threaded through their hair, but love never loosened its grip. Their home, warm with laughter, history, and quiet joy, stood as proof that some hearts are meant to find each other more than once. On their 40th anniversary, Minjun took Zara back to Jeju Island. The same cliff, the same sea, the same wind that once carried their second vows. They stood hand in hand, older now, steadier. "I loved you wrong once," Minjun said softly, "but I loved you right for the rest of my life." Zara leaned into him, smiling. "We loved each other bravely." As the sun melted into the ocean, Minjun pressed a kiss to her forehead, the same way he did every night. Their children grew, carrying their love forward. They loved without fear, led with compassion, built lives rooted in respect. And whenever anyone asked them about the secret to lasting love, Zara would smile and say, "Choose each other, even after the pain." Minjun would add, "Especially after the pain." One quiet night, long after the world had gone still, Minjun held Zara as she slept, her breathing familiar, precious. "Still," he whispered. She smiled in her sleep. "Always." And when the years finally asked them to rest, they went peacefully, hands intertwined, hearts full. Not as a man who lost his wife once, but as two souls who found each other twice and never let go again. Forever didn't start at the beginning. It started when they chose love again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment. Also like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is uploaded.